I'm a third generation certified financial planner, and after helping hundreds of retirees, I've discovered a dirty secret about wealth. Net worth does not equate to net lifestyle. I've seen clients with $2 million live richer, even more fuller lives than clients with $5 million. Why? Because many times the more zeros in your portfolio, the more people feel trapped by the psychological blind spot I call the reluctant millionaire. So, today we're breaking down the 5 levels of retirement wealth. I'm going to show you exactly where you sit and reveal 3 wealth multipliers to help you live a life like you jumped a level without saving an extra dime. Let's get into it. Level 1, I'll call the commuter tier. We start at this baseline where level 1 is about $250,000 in savings. We're going to use a car analogy for these levels, where the car is like your lifestyle and the gas is your portfolio size. At level 1, it's like driving a commuter car with a quarter tank of gas. Retiring before full retirement age really isn't in the cards, unfortunately. Many are just barely getting by, living on almost entirely just Social Security with this mindset of scarcity. You can cover the essentials, but a major shock like a new roof or a health crisis almost certainly runs you off the road. But as we move up to level 2, the danger shifts. It stops becoming about survival and more about sustainability. So level 2 is I'll call the sedan tier, where it brings us to $250,000 to $1 million. And I'll call it the sedan level. And the sedan level is reliable, but you're constantly watching the gas gauge, because at this level, clients I see can spend freely in one discretionary category, but certainly not multiple. In reality, it looks like trading off, do you want to go out to eat regularly or fund your grandkids' college? Doing both becomes near impossible. If you try, you're almost certain to run out of gas before you reach your destination. But here's the trap. Most people living at this level are living too small because they're terrified of running out of money at age 85, which brings us to our first wealth multiplier. I'll call it the spending smile methodology, because most financial calculators assume that you're going to spend money in a straight linear line forever. In practice, I've never actually seen a human actually do this. Research from David Blanchett at Morningstar backs this up. He calls it the retirement spending smile. You may relate to this as far as the go-go years, where in the initial phase, you have the energy, you have the umph to travel, and your spending is high. And then your slow-go years are the middle part of your retirement, where I see people slow down. They're trading international flights for local road trips, and their spending drops naturally. And then the no-go years, 80s and beyond generally, the clients stay home more, preferring local experiences, and their spending is much lower. And this is what I see among clients every day. The 85-year-old version of you does not want to climb Machu Picchu. They want to be comfortable, prioritizing calm over chaos. By planning for this smile spending curve, clients often feel authorized to spend even 20% more in their early retirement years, front-loading their withdrawals without feeling like they're gambling their savings. And this is truly when you can use your wealth while you have your health. Speaking of permission, if you feel paralyzed by trade-offs in your retirement, you don't need a calculator, you need a plan, which is why we developed the Retirement Readiness Runway to give you that exact clarity. If you want to know exactly how much you can spend without running out of money in retirement, click the link in the description to discover your personal spending abilities. Now for level 3, we'll call the Grand Tour tier. This is where we get some real breathing room. Level 3 feels actually powerful. We have around $1 million to $2 million, where we can consider the ride to be smoother, the gas tank is full, and people at this level often depict the millionaire next door. You've worked hard many times since you were a teen. You've been saving quietly all along, and you're not flashy with your money. For the first time, you likely have the ability to retire before Social Security even starts. But navigating those gap years is crucial. Things like traveling internationally are in the mix, and you can take the family out to a nice dinner without checking the prices on the menu first, and you can even likely help kids with in-state college tuition. But psychologically, this becomes the danger zone. Why? Because you have just enough money to feel confident, but not to be careless. You may be checking your portfolio balance every day because you're aware of this disconnect. Many times I see clients who come to us who are acutely aware how just one bad market crash now can push them back down to a level 2 type tier. We see people who are terrified of what we would call the sequence of returns risk. They need a way to protect their income without burying their money in a mattress and losing it all to inflation. And this is where the second wealth multiplier comes into play. Let's forget the cars for a second, and let's think like a farmer. A smart farmer doesn't store all of his grain in a single barn. If that barn catches fire, then he starves. So, to protect it, he separates the harvest. We use the buckets framework to build three distinct silos. Silo one is, we'll call it the pantry. This is cash, it covers your short term income needs. If the market has some bumps, you don't really care. You're eating from the pantry on hand. Silo 2 is, I'll call the barn. This is conservative growth. It refills your pantry, and with inevitable market crashes, you've got ample resources to ride it out. And this is for generally years 4 through 6 of needs. And silo 3 is the true storage silo, where we keep aggressive growth. This is money you won't touch for likely 7+ years, no matter how the market moves. This strategy allows you to keep your wealth growing in silo 3 while you're still sleeping like a baby, because silo 1 is safe. It dissipates that fear of the market. Now, for level 4, I'll call the all-terrain tier. This is generally people who have assets between $2 and $5 million. And this is like a luxury SUV. You can truly go off-road, handle bumps that would wreck a smaller and less capable car. But here's the fascinating psychological twist I see with clients inevitably at this level. You probably don't feel rich, but you look at yourself in the mirror and see a normal person, living in a normal neighborhood, living a normal lifestyle. And yes, you may drive a Toyota or another premium tier of a basic car and shop at Costco and feel like middle class, but the reality is you are in the top percentage of wealth in this country. Congratulations. And because you feel normal, you often are unaware of the complex problems that come with this territory. For example, I see many clients who we would consider in the sandwich generation, where you're trying to launch your adult children while simultaneously many times trying to take care of aging parents. You are the financial backstop for your entire family. On top of this pressure, many times people in this range I see are rather tax inefficient. You have a massive IRA or 401k that is like a ticking tax time bomb, and you're not doing the Roth conversions that can help with that because you don't feel wealthy enough to pay that tax now. And there's one specific cost that blindsides people here, and it's pre-Medicare healthcare, which brings us to our third wealth multiplier. Because at this level, many people want to be able to retire in their mid to late 50s. But of course, Medicare doesn't start until 65, leaving this 5 to 10 year health insurance gap that terrifies people into working longer. And I see people guessing at these costs. They'll assume coverage will cost 40 grand a year, so they just keep working in a job that they hate or are burning out in just for the health benefits alone. So this third multiplier is giving our clients radical clarity. Because in order to stop treating healthcare like a black box, we need to start treating it like a line item in your plan. So here's a real story to illustrate this. We had a client I'll call Mark, who knew he needed knee surgery, but more importantly, he needed to retire, but he was burnt out, and he was terrified of going on the government marketplace. He didn't know if he could keep his doctor or what his deductibles would be, and he was just paralyzed by all this complexity. So it felt easier to just keep working and dealing with the knee until he was ready to do the surgery. But the issue was he was paying a true life cost, not just because he was delaying retirement, but because he was delaying those years he could do so with a good knee. Now, I'm a retirement planner, not an insurance broker. That is why we bring in a specialist partner team to get into the weeds with our clients in this area. We have a concierge service that helps Mark evaluate the specific government marketplace options, COBRA, and private insurance. And this team helps develop a plan that lets him keep his doctor and caps his exposure, giving him clarity on that exact cost, which then allows us to plug it into his plan that we were building for him. Now, it wasn't just about quoting a surgery, it was about giving him confidence that his coverage, yes, would be solid even after retirement. And thanks to finally knowing his options and the consequences of each decision, he was able to retire 3 years earlier than he thought. He had the surgery, and even recently, he hiked the Continental Divide with his grandson because he wanted to inspire him to lose weight. Now, for our fifth level, I'll call the Chauffeur tier. This is for those people that have saved $5 million plus for retirement, who many times are experiencing total freedom. They can fund weddings and the college degrees and the dream vacations for the whole family. But remember that reluctant millionaire I mentioned at the start? This is where those people live. Ironically, people around level 5 are intimidated by their own wealth. And understandably, they feel a massive sense of stewardship. They're not just managing money, you're managing a legacy. Many of my clients express the concern of if they help their kids too much, they'll ruin their own ambition. So they tend to overcorrect. They may have $6 million, but they eat at the same chain restaurants as people with millions and millions less than them because it feels safe, because they don't want to lose their identity as a hard worker. And the solution here isn't just reckless spending, it's giving a strategy we would call giving with warm hands. Because instead of leaving a massive, overwhelming pile of cash when you die, I'll call it the cold hands strategy, we structure strategic gifts now, during their lifetime. We want to help them see their money help their daughter buy a house or fund a grandchildren's education when they can see the impact with warm hands, so they can mentor them on how to handle it with the additional benefit of removing that money from their taxable estate down the road. You stop saving for the IRS and then start investing it in your family's memory bank. I often remind clients, as much as myself, money comes and goes, but years are non renewable. There are only three people who will spend your money: one, you, obviously; two is your heirs; and the third is the government. If you're too afraid to spend it on yourself or too afraid to give it to your heirs, you're just bankrolling the IRS. So here's the question you need to answer: which of the 5 levels are you in, and are you actually living like it? You can try to calculate your own spending smile. You can build your own silo bucket storage system, but knowing the strategy is often different from executing it. And many times clients retire just once, which is why we developed the Retirement Readiness Runway. It takes these concepts and turns them into a concrete flight plan so you can stop guessing and actually start living. If you're within a few years of retirement and have saved over $2 million, you've done the hard work of saving. Now it's time for the smart work of planning. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen to book a strategy session with me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.